Hey guys, Aaron Farmer here with my sugar-free journey. We're taking another look at all of the nutrition stuff that has come across my desk today. Some really interesting articles. Just as a reminder before we get started, if you're watching this on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I would definitely appreciate it. If you're watching this on iTunes, I don't know, like it, something. All right, so first up, people who eat dark chocolate less likely to be depressed. So I get asked every once in a while, why is all this stuff about nutrition so depressing? Everything's going to kill you. Everything makes you sick. Everything gives you cancer. Well, here's actually some really good news. If you eat dark chocolate, you're less likely to be depressed, maybe. It was found that individuals who reported eating any dark chocolate in two 24-hour periods had 70% lower odds of reporting clinically relevant depressive symptoms than those who reported not eating chocolate at all. Hey, chocolate brings you joy. And dark chocolate may be lower in sugar. It's usually lower in sugar. I mean, I guess I should say I like it, but I do occasionally eat baker's chocolate, so it has, no sugar at all. And I'll do different things with it, add it to different desserts. It's tasty. There are plenty of companies out there that do sugar-free chocolate. I don't know if they're still around, but I guess about a year ago, a company called Chalk Zero sent me a couple samples of their stuff that was really good, and it was totally sugar-free. So there may be something too. Eating a little bit of dark chocolate, maybe as a little snack after dinner or something like that, may make you less depressed. So I thought that was some really good news. Just stay away from the sugar. Next up, substantial and sustained improvement in blood pressure, weight, and lipid profiles from a carbohydrate-restricted diet. I loved this study. I couldn't believe this was Dr. Unwin. David Unwin did this study. So this was in a previous small pilot study. So they did a previous study, got good results. So this is a slightly larger study. It was found that a low carbohydrate diet was associated with significant improvement in blood pressure, weight, deprescribing of medications, and lipid profiles. And they're actually able to take patients off of medications. And I cannot stress enough, that is one of the most powerful things about a low carb or ketogenic diet. If you're spending a ton of money on prescriptions, a lot of times if you'll stop eating the carbs, you won't have to spend that money on prescriptions. People, there's no reason to take insulin. A lot of times you can get off your type 2 diabetes medication. A lot of times you can get off of your blood pressure medication. Now, obviously, I have to say before we move on, don't stop taking your medications without a doctor's permission or a doctor's help, and make sure you consult with your physician, blah, blah, blah. But it's not unheard of when you go on a low-carb diet to be able to get off of different prescriptions. 154 patients. So 154 patients. This is not a small cohort. 154 patients with type 2 diabetes, so these are people that are already sick, or impaired glucose tolerance, were recruited into an observational cohort study in primary care. The effects of the low-carb diet sustained for an average of 2 years. So this is significant. This is not VertaHealth. This is a different study, and they looked at these people for 2 years. So this is not a 1 month study. This is not, a 6-week study. And I hope to God people out there like what's his name, Bass, Kevin Bass, that does these ketogenic studies, looking at people on a ketogenic diet for 4 weeks and saying, oh, it's a terrible diet, you shouldn't do that. This is what you have to look at. The time, 2 years on a long-term low carb diet means that here's a much better look at what a big change diet can make on your health over a long term. So results demonstrate significant and substantial, and I love those two words, significant and substantial, reductions in blood pressure, a mean weight reduction of 9.5 kilograms. So after 2 years, these people lost on average about 20 pounds. That's a lot of weight. It's a big deal. Together with marked improvement in lipid profiles. This occurred despite a 20% reduction in antihypertensive medication. So they were able to reduce the amount of blood pressure medication by 20% on average, and still saw significant drops in their blood pressure. So their blood pressure dropped enough that they were able to take them off the high blood pressure medication and still see a drop in blood pressure. That's a big deal. So thank you, Dr. Unwin, for doing that study. That was amazing. All right, next up. A carbohydrate-reduced high-protein diet improves HbA1c and liver fat content in weight-stable participants with type 2 diabetes. So this was interesting because they specifically didn't they specifically didn't give them have them lose weight. They just changed the carbohydrate profile. And wait till you find out what the carbohydrate profile is here in just a minute. This is pretty crazy. So eligibility criteria were men and women with type 2 diabetes, HbA1cs of 6.5 to 11%. So again, these are people with type 2 diabetes. They're already sick. The carbohydrate restricted high protein diet contained 30% of carbohydrates. The standard diet contained 50% of the energy from carbohydrates. So this was not even close to a ketogenic diet. I mean, I don't even know why they get away with calling it a low carb diet. 30% of the calories were coming from carbohydrates on the calorie restricted carbohydrate diet. So it's a very, very small reduction in carbohydrates, but still look at the benefits they were able to see. 28% participants completed the study. 14 participants carried out 6 weeks of the carbohydrate restricted diet, followed by 6 weeks of the standard diet, and then they switched. Compared with a standard diet, the carbohydrate restricted diet reduced the primary outcome of HbA1c 0.6 percent, which was so their HbA1c in what is it? 6 weeks, they were able to drop their HbA1c by dropping their carbohydrates a very small 20% down to 30% of their total calories. They were able to get their HbA1c to drop by more than half a point. That's significant considering they barely reduce carbohydrates. The carbohydrate restricted diet reduced the secondary outcomes of fasting plasma, postprandial plasma glucose. Fasting plasma glucose, postprandial plasma glucose. So there's less. Their blood sugar numbers dropped. Hepatic fat content, so that's the fat around the liver. So they were able to reduce liver fat by reducing the carbohydrates. Pancreatic fat content, so less fat around the pancreas. Again, just by reducing the carbohydrates a little bit and not reducing calories. The benefits of a low carb or a ketogenic diet happen irrespective of calories. You don't have to restrict calories, and you don't even have to lose weight to see some significant benefits to the ketogenic diet. Now, once you go on a ketogenic diet, go ahead and reduce your calories too. Don't force yourself to eat more calories than you should. Go ahead and try to lose weight as well. But even if you don't, you're going to see some significant improvement in your health. Conclusions. A moderate macronutrient shift by substituting carbohydrates with protein and fat for 6 weeks reduced HbA1c and hepatic fat content in weight-stable individuals with type 2 diabetes. So again, these were type 2 diabetic patients that they were able to drop their HbA1c while keeping their calories static, keeping their calories steady, and not losing weight. The only thing they changed was dropping their carbohydrate intake from 50% to 30%. So it's a very, very small drop, and it's barely low carb. But even that small of a drop in total carbohydrate content you were able to see improvements in their blood sugar levels, in their HbA1c, in their blood pressure, and in their where the body was storing fat. So go on a low carb diet if you have type 2 diabetes, or if you have elevated liver enzymes, or if you have all these problems. Socially active 60-year-olds face lower dementia risk. Being socially active in your 50s and 60s predicts a lower risk of developing dementia later on. This is so important because it's more than diet. You are a whole person, and people were built for community. You were built for community. You need other people in your life. The more socially active you are, the more you interact with other people, the less the possibility of having dementia later on in life. And I won't go through it. I mean, it wasn't a huge drop, just 12% drop over time in the socially active group. But that is something. And it just goes to show that we need people. You need people. You need people in your life. No man is an island. And that there are obvious health benefits from having people in your life that you love and that love you back. Persistent low body weight in humans is associated with higher mitochondrial activity in white adipose tissue. So this interested me because I have one of these people in my life. My middle son is so just to go over the thing, constitutional thinness. So these are people that can eat anything they want and not gain weight. It's probably 20% of the population, and if you've if you're overweight and you've got one of these people in your life that can eat anything they want and not gain weight, it can be aggravating. So my middle son is like this. Constitutional thinness is a state of low but stable body weight. Constitutional thinness subjects have normal range hormonal profiles and food intake, but exhibit resistance to weight gain despite living in the modern world's obesogenic environment. So these are people who can eat all the French fries and baked potatoes and carbs and sugar, whatever that they want. They just don't seem to gain weight. Results. Our results demonstrate that adipocytes were markedly smaller in the CT individuals. These are the constitutional thinness people, compared with controls. The mitochondrial respiratory capacity was higher in the CT adipose tissue. The higher activity was paralleled by an increase in mitochondrial number. So these people, their mitochondria work harder and they can burn calories at a faster rate than the rest of us. So again, why am I bringing this up? Because it's not just calories. It's not just counting calories. How obese you are, there are 100 factors. There are 100 metabolic factors that come into play to determine, how efficiently do you store fat? How efficiently or inefficiently does your body store or burn energy? I mean, there's all of these other factors at play that we're not talking about, and the just eat less and move more crowd, they seem to be totally obsessed with this idea that all you have to do is eat less and move more and you'll lose weight. There are other things at play. There are other metabolic issues at play. Should you eat less and should you move more? Yeah, if you want to lose weight, those are good things to do. But eat less and move more. You should eat less carbohydrates, and then you'll want to move more because you'll have more energy. That should be the first thing that you do. You shouldn't be obsessing about trying to eat less and move more in a general sense. Don't diet. Just cut out the foods that have never been a part of our metabolic, that have never been a part of our evolutionary history. These highly processed carbs, all the sugar, all the crap that, the Twinkies and the Ho-Hos and whatnot that seem to be, ever present in our environment. Cut those out of your diet, and you'll see some amazing things happen to your health. And then finally, I was a little upset when I saw this. This is from Jimmy Moore. And this is Jimmy Moore telling the world on August 1st that his YouTube channel has been deleted. So he says, if you're a fan of my Jimmy Rant shows that originate here on Instagram Live, then you may have noticed the archives of my videos are no longer able to be seen when you search for them on YouTube. So it appears my account was suddenly suspended on August 1st for violations of the community guidelines. And I checked today. This is August 5th. So as of August 5th, this channel is still inactive. There's still no way to get any of his old YouTube videos. It's pretty amazing to me that YouTube would take this step of suspending his channel. Now, I don't have any special knowledge. I don't know if there's something that happened behind the scenes of anything, but what this, I think this is an example of, is this ongoing. I'm trying to be judicious here because I don't want my YouTube channel to be suspended, but this ongoing bias that these powers that be have against, we'll call it alternative health. The idea that just eating a low carbohydrate diet can be good for your health. We've seen Facebook groups that espouse that way of eating be deleted at the drop of a hat. We've seen Instagram channels where people talk about a low carb diet being deleted at the drop of a hat. It just seems like if they get to be too big, then things get deleted and or demonetized or taken off. We see it in politically conservative channels. We see it in these alternative health channels. I don't know what the answer is, but I know it's been almost a week since this YouTube channel has been suspended, and they're not in any hurry to put it back up. It doesn't appear. I am sure that in a week it'll come back up and they'll apologize, but the warning shots are being fired. Are being fired. I don't know what this holds for us in the future. If we're kind of on the precipice of some kind of dystopian future where we can't communicate, we can't kind of tell what we see as the truth, whether it be politically conservative or the idea that don't eat carbs. And it's weird that we're equating those two things, but We appear to be equating those two things. YouTube and Google appear to be equating those two things. That those are things that we cannot talk about. Those are things that we cannot let the people have access to. And I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about that. But Jimmy, if you end up watching this video, man, I'm so sorry that this happened to you, and I hope that you get your YouTube channel back. And I'm sorry that you're having to go through this. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. We'll be back in a few days with another video. Just as a reminder, if you've watched it this far, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up, but most importantly, leave a comment. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we will talk to you all